This is the story of a man who had everything and lost it all. And in his lowest moment, the person he once ignored became the one who changed his life forever. Blake Harrison was living the dream. At 37, he was rich, famous, and respected. He had built a tech company in Silicon Valley and sold it for millions. His house sat on a hill in Los Angeles, with a warm swimming pool, luxury cars, and designer clothes. People admired him, people envied him, and slowly, Blake started to believe he was above everyone else. He loved attention. He posted photos of his private jet, his expensive watches, and his dinners at five-star restaurants. In his mind, he deserved it all. "I worked harder than everyone," he would say. "The world owes me this." One evening, while driving down Santa Monica Boulevard, Blake stopped at a red light. A man walked up to his car. His hair was gray. His jacket was worn out. In his hands was a small cardboard sign. "I lost everything. Just want one meal." Blake looked at him and frowned. Without a word, he rolled up his window. The light turned green, and he drove away. That night, he laughed about it, with his friends, over an $800 bottle of sake. If they worked harder, they wouldn't be like that. Everyone laughed. No one disagreed. But life has a strange way of teaching lessons. And sometimes, it teaches them fast. Just weeks later, everything began to fall apart. Blake had invested most of his wealth in a hedge fund. That fund had heavily invested in a company that turned out to be a fraud. The news broke, the stock collapsed, and Blake's fortune disappeared. At first, he didn't panic. "It's just a market dip," he told himself. But it wasn't. Within days, he lost 90% of his wealth. And that was only the beginning. He had taken risks, big ones. He borrowed money. He used leverage. He used his house, his cars, even his art as collateral. Now, the calls started coming. Margin calls, debt notices, warnings. Everything he owned was slipping away. Within 3 months, his mansion was gone. His cars were taken. His watchers were sold. His friends disappeared. The same people who once surrounded him stopped answering his calls. His social media filled with mockery. Where is Blake now? Guess the rich, moved into a tiny apartment. Cheap, old, broken walls. Grease smell from the fried chicken shop downstairs filled the air. At night, he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, he noticed the cracks. For the first time, he felt empty. He couldn't sleep. His mind replayed everything. The success, the pride, the arrogance. And that moment, when he rolled up the car window, one night at 3 a.m., unable to sleep, Blake walked outside. The streets were quiet, cold, lonely. He passed by a small convenience store. Inside, under bright white lights, sat a man behind the counter. Blake stopped. His heart froze. It was him. The same man from the street. Blake stood there for a long time, then slowly. He walked in. The door made a soft sound. The man looked up. Blake felt something heavy in his chest. He didn't know what to say. Finally, he asked, "How are you working here?" The man smiled gently. "My name is Frank," he said. He poured 2 cups of coffee and handed one to Blake. "That day you saw me," Frank said, "I had just lost everything. My home, my family, everything. I thought the world owed me something. I stood there thinking, someone must give me a meal." He paused. "Then someone helped me, gave me food, gave me a place to stay. And he told me something I will never forget. Tomorrow you might have, today you don't have. Tomorrow you might. Don't think too highly of yourself, but don't think too little either." Blake stared into his coffee. His reflection looked different. Tired, lost, Real. I'm sorry, Blake whispered. I treated you badly. Frank shook his head. You didn't say anything, he said softly. You just rolled up your window. That's not cruelty. That's fear. Blake looked up. Fear? Yes, Frank said. You were afraid. Afraid to see me? Because deep down, you knew. The distance between us is not that far. Sometimes, it's just one bad decision away. Silence filled the room. Blake felt something break inside him. Frank placed a sandwich in front of him. Eat, he said. Today I can give to you. Tomorrow, maybe you will give to someone else. Success is built in small steps. Blake ate that sandwich slowly. And something changed, not overnight, but deeply. The next weeks were hard. Blake found a job at a small repair shop. He fixed tires, changed oil, worked long hours. His hands became rough, dirty. Real. But for the first time in years, he slept well. Because he was tired. Because he was honest. Because he was no longer pretending. He started visiting Frank once a week. They would sit, drink coffee, and talk. One day, Blake complained about being underpaid. Frank asked, when you had your company, did you always pay people fairly? Blake had no answer. Sometimes the greatest strength is patience. Time passed. Slowly. Things changed. Blake partnered with a friend. They opened a small repair shop. No investors, no loans, just honest work. Day by day, customer by customer. He listened to people. A single mother who couldn't afford repairs. A veteran who couldn't find work. A new immigrant struggling to survive. Blake began to understand something important. The moment you stop chasing others, you start finding yourself. Success, he realized, is not about money. It's about how you treat people. Years later, Blake owned several repair shops. But he lived simply. No mansion, no luxury cars, no social media. Just a quiet life. He would walk into that same convenience store, buy 2 cups of coffee, sit with Frank and talk. One day, someone asked him, what changed you the most? Blake smiled and said, wealth is not who you are. It's just something that passes through your hands, but how you treat people, that stays forever. This story teaches us something powerful. Life can change in a moment. Success can disappear. But character stays. So be kind, stay humble, and remember, you are never as far from someone else's situation as you think. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes, the smallest story can change the way you see your whole life.